Let me ask former Secretary of State and Fox News contributor Mike Pompeo if that is a good idea. Mr. Secretary, welcome back. Thank you ever so much. This is a tough issue, but I want to just begin with this latest news piece. Is it a good idea to have a rapid de-escalation and move quickly to a ceasefire? Is that the right diplomatic position in your judgment?
Well, Larry, that's going to beget more violence. If Israel isn't fully supported by the United States, we don't provide them the tools that they need, the resources they need to continue to prosecute the Iranian-backed terrorist Hamas, that's likely to lead to more loss of life, not only loss of life inside of Israel, but loss of life of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip as well. The Israelis need to have all the time and space they need to complete the destruction of all the infrastructure that the Iranians have put inside of the Gaza Strip that is supporting Hamas terrorism. If they do that well, there will be peace. There will ultimately be a ceasefire because Hamas will have been defeated. That's what it's going to take. This is an ideologic organization. They make no bones about the fact that they want to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. Their sponsor, Iran, wants to wipe not only Israel, but every American away as well. They want to destroy the big Satan and the little Satan. We shouldn't be putting pressure on the Israeli government to walk away from what they know they need to do to defend themselves. I hope that the Biden administration will take up that defense of Israel's sovereign right to defend its own country.
Secretary, do you think, and these are judgment calls, I understand, but really, has President Biden and his Secretary of State Blinken and others, have they made it abundantly clear that Israel is our best friend in the region, perhaps the best friend in the world, a genuine democracy? Have they, in your judgment, sufficiently declared their support for Israel?
Well, here's the challenge. Their rhetoric has been mixed. Some of the language has been fine. Some of it's been pretty weak. But look at their actions. President Biden wouldn't make a phone call to Prime Minister Netanyahu for many, many weeks after he took office with one of our key, most important allies, as you described before. They then turned back on U.S. taxpayer dollars going to the Palestinians. That money will ultimately be taken by the corrupt leadership and funneled to terrorist organizations. And then, they de-designated the Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen. And then add to that, they're sitting today in Vienna, Austria, talking to the Iranians about whether they're going to give them $5 or $7 or $15 billion more. That money will go to putting real pressure on Israel, our ally and friend. It'll underwrite Hezbollah in the north. It'll underwrite the West Bank Palestinians. It'll underwrite the very terrorists in Hamas who are firing rockets into Tel Aviv and Jerusalem today. It is unexplainable to me that this administration would continue to underwrite the Palestinians and support the Iranians with billions of dollars, all the while they are launching rockets that are killing civilians throughout all of Israel.
I mean, Mike, isn't that really the heart of the problem here with Biden? They are moving towards Iran. They want a new nuclear deal with Iran. Why? I don't know. This is more your subject than mine, but I don't get it because they always lie, cheat, and steal. Giving them money, as you just said, and that money will be distributed to the Iranian-backed terrorist groups. I mean, here, let me step back a second. Madam Psaki, as I call her, press secretary, she's just doing her job, but she says the Abraham Accords were no good, dead on arrival, changed absolutely nothing. Now, I'll just let you handle that one. Huh? Is what I say? Huh? Really? Abraham Accords changed nothing?
Where to begin? Maybe in that little tiny room. Maybe that little tiny room she's sitting in, that's her view. But the rest of the world knows the reality. The world saw that fundamentally the Trump administration changed the way the Middle East interacted. We came in with ISIS on the rise. We came in with terror regimes continuing to grow. We came in with a JCPOA that put Iran on a path to a nuclear weapon. We upended that. And what did we get? We got Bahrainis, we got Emiratis, we ended up with Moroccans and people from North Africa, all understanding that having Israel as a friend and partner made a difference. We emboldened those countries, those leaders. They did great work so that the people of those countries would have more peace, more prosperity, more stability. And then when they ripped the Band-Aid off, when they turned it back around, when they didn't support those same sets of policies, you see where we end up. Rockets and violence and terror spread throughout the region. Anti-Semitism on the rise in Europe again as well. You've seen some of this even in the United States today. This is irresponsible. It is incomprehensible. And I hope that the Biden administration will come to recognize that when you support Israel, you can lead. I saw that polling data. That is stunning to me, that so many people could be blaming Israel for the violence that's happening today. This is directly a responsibility of one group, Hamas, who was underwritten largely by one sponsor, the Islamic Republic of Iran.
You know, I don't mean to make the cliche, but it doesn't take it's not rocket science to understand who's at the root of this problem right here. And so you said, I don't know, a week or so ago, that these left-wing attacks on Israel, which are coming from these House members, the so-called quartet, maybe soon to be a platoon. The Democrats, as you know, stopped the vote today that would sanction donors to Hamas, which is incredible to me. You said that there's a deep, deep flavor of anti-Semitism. And, Secretary, my point in the intro, I didn't want to front-run you because of my respect, and also I agree with your views, but my point is, the game has changed. I mean, the Democratic Party looks like it's moving away from Israel, and it's the Republican Party. It was the Trump Party. It was the Pompeo Party. It was Jared Kushner and that whole gang and David Friedman have changed the game. And you can't even get a decent resolution through the House of Representatives now.
Yeah, you know, sadly, Larry, you have it exactly right. This isn't just 2 or 3 or 4. That vote indicates that this unwillingness to stand up for our friend, our partner, the lone democracy in the Middle East, Israel, the rightful homeland of the Jewish people, has seeped far, far into that party. It is not just the fringe elements. It's, by the way, it's the candidate that ran for president on their ticket and finished twice, 2 elections in a row, that is probably the most avid supporter of Palestinians and the terror that results when we don't defend our friend in Israel. This is an enormous problem for America. This is a problem for their party. We have a friend and ally there. Important American interests are at stake. We need to make sure that those leaders understand that the United States will have their back when they need to do the simple task of defending their own people at home.
All right. Distinguished former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Well said, sir. Thanks for helping us again on the show. Good luck. See you soon.
Yes, sir.
All right.